Good morning and welcome to Module 3. This week we're going to focus on revision, so let's jump right into it. So our main goal this week is to focus on revising a creative work that we've already written. In this case, it was the poem that you submitted this past week, and we're going to look at peer revision this week and getting some feedback from your instructor, and then also moving forward with the revision process. So if you see here, there's 3 graded assignments. This week, you have a creative play, practicing perception journal. You're going to do a workshop in which you are actually going to comment on 2 of your peers' poems, and then you're going to revise your poem at the end. So hopefully all of you will have some feedback from your peers. If nothing else, you will have feedback from me by Thursday. That way you will have something to go on in terms of revising your poem. Ideally, everyone will have at least someone, some peer has said something about your poem as well, so you have multiple voices. But if not, like I said, at minimum, you'll have feedback from me. If you have, for some reason, not submitted that poem, that's the first thing you need to do. You absolutely need to get that submitted first. That way you can move forward with this week's assignments. So this first one is the workshop for the poetry. What you're going to do is you're going to submit your creative work poetry to this discussion board, and several of you already have, right? You've already submitted this in Module 2, so this is the same poem that you submitted this past week for me to review. You're going to do the same thing without editing it yet for your peers to review as well, okay? There's sections in the textbook from 48 to 63 on revision that I'd like you to read, and then you're going to select 2 of your classmates' drafts to review. I would like you to post these. These should already be posted, right? So make sure if you don't have this posted already, go ahead and get your poem posted into this discussion board. That way your peers have ample time to read it, and that way I have time to read it as well. So you're going to select 2 of your classmates' drafts to review. This is important. Do not review a draft that already has 2 workshop responses. We're trying to spread it out evenly. That way we can all have access to some peer critiques. You're going to post your responses as replies to your classmates' main posts. This is an important step because it's useful from 2 fronts. For the person who's doing the writing, who's written the poem, it's good to get perspective from another person. For those of you doing the critique, it's an interesting way to look at how poems are crafted and sort of will help you craft your own poems as well, right? Okay, so a successful workshop requires careful reading and analysis. Focus on noticing and discussing especially the ideas you learned in writing poems. So these are from the reading page 139 to 150. So things like word choice, lines and rhymes, if there are any, meter, and shapes. Your task will be to show you understand and can apply the course content so far by analyzing what works and what doesn't work in your classmates' drafts. And then you're going to respond to at least 5 of the following workshop questions, okay, on their drafts. You're going to use complete sentences. So these are A through F listed here. You just choose 5 of those questions, any 5, and respond to those on the draft for each of your peers' posts. So you're going to do 2 of these, one for each person that you're going to do. Okay, so you're going to choose 2 students, and you're going to respond to these questions on their poems. Okay, there are things, however, that I don't want you to do. You're not the grammar police here. I'm not really either, honestly. I know it's kind of a misnomer in English classes that's what often gets talked about as people correcting your grammar. We're really interested in ideas here. This class is 100% about content. Obviously, this might be a stage as you're compiling your revisions to look into those things, but as a reviewer of this, it's not your task. You're focusing clearly and solely on the content of the poem. Okay. The other thing to not do is to just say that it's perfect in every way, right? There's no perfect work. There's always improvements to be made. Writing is never done. Okay, and each of these responses should be at least 350 words, right? So you need 2 of those. They could be longer. They shouldn't be shorter. You should get there pretty easily if you answer these 5 questions about each of those. And again, you need 2, so 2 different peers. you're going to review. And I want these done by Thursday of this week. And the reason being is that by Thursday, you will have my feedback and also 2 peers' feedback, hopefully, or at least a peer's feedback. And then you will, because the rest of this assignment this week is you're going to take those suggestions in mind and then actually submit a revised version of this poem. Okay, so please submit those by Thursday. This is the workshop. That's why it is very, very important for all of you to get in your poems into this discussion forum as early as possible. Today would be the best. That way you have an ample chance to read everyone's work and to choose the 2 students that you're going to review. Okay, moving on. The creative play this week, the journal, is on practicing perception. So it's low stakes. It's just a learning activity. It's not an assessment. You want to take this opportunity to play with words and try new things, right? So you can prepare for this by reading 25 to 33. And then everyone who, if there's some of you who are still struggling to locate a book, please keep this in mind. I'm going to hold for a second. You're going to choose one of the activities listed on pages 34 to 35. So these are them. Don't tell anybody, but these are them. Okay? So you can come back to this and pause it if you choose to read one, whichever one you would like to pick. These are the works on page 34 and 35 that we will not be talking about how this is in the video. And there you see it. And there it's gone. Okay, so anyway, whoops, oopsie daisy. So that's what you're going to be focusing on. You're going to pick one of those from the Your Move section on 34 to 35, and you're going to draft and create a creative work in any genre, so whichever one you choose, and you'll submit it there. Again, these are all low stakes, the journals. You should be practicing proper MLA. I know that these are text box or file uploads. I would recommend that you do it in Microsoft Word. It's a lot easier. You can cite the page that you chose this from, and formatting always ends up with your name, the date, a title for your work, etc., in proper MLA formatting, and then double spacing your document. If you hear a low-pitched growling, that's my dog. He's growling at the postman, so I'm sorry about that. It's not me or my stomach or anything weird happening, I promise. So there's an optional second one you can do. You can do a second one from that. I don't think anyone's done these so far, but that's up to you. So that's that. The main meat and potatoes for this week is your revised poem. So after you have your commentary from me and your peers, you're going to review them in the discussion forum and also on the document that I submit from last week. And then from there, you're going to consider what you want to follow and what you will not follow. At the end of the day, this is your work. You can ignore it all if you want. That's fine. It's up to you, right? You could go in a completely different direction than the revision, or maybe you take all the advice. It's really up to you, okay? But I really want you to demonstrate some sort of revision process, so it should be at least 25% new or substantially changed in some way from there. And this is due Sunday, right? So ideally, the timeline for this week, you will have submitted your poem for the discussion forum by today at the latest. Hopefully you've already done that, but if you haven't, today at the latest, you'll submit it in the discussion forum for your peers to look at. You will receive feedback no later than Thursday from me, and also your peers should have commented on that by Thursday as well. That means you need to have completed the workshop by Thursday, and then you have basically Thursday to Sunday, the last half of this week, to complete the revision of your poem. And that's it for this week. If you all have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me, and I'll see you next week.